This is Trisha Juktani and I'm back with another tutorial on Advanced Excel. In this tutorial, you will see how to use the if function in Excel, how to use it with other logical functions like and or function, and also how to use the nested if function. If function is one of the most useful and powerful function in Excel. With if function, you can ask Excel for a condition and then ask Excel to give a value if the condition is fulfilled and give another value if the condition is not fulfilled. Let's start with a couple of examples to understand the if function in detail. In my example sheet, I have scores of each students. We are supposed to identify their results. As per the criteria in the HSL table, the students who have scored more than 50% marks are considered pass, while scores below or equal to 50% are considered fail. Now, to find the result, we can use a simple if function where I will give a condition to Excel and say, if this condition is fulfilled, please give me the result as pass or give me the result as fail. Now, in order to do an if function, I'll start with an equal to sign, enter the if function name, and then open the parenthesis. Looking at the syntax, you can easily identify that it is asking you to give the condition in the first instance or in the first argument. So I will give the condition. The condition will be that if the score is more than 50, I will consider that as pass. So I'll start with the condition as I can give one of the condition. I can say either the condition is less than or equal to 50, or I can say more than 50. Now, before I move on and understand whether I can put this greater than or less than or equal to, I also need to know that in if function, I can use all the mathematical operators, and those are equal to, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, or not equal to. All these can be used with the if function. Now that we know, if I'm using the if function here in the logical test, I'm going to select the cell from which I need to identify if that person is pass or fail. So I'll start with Jack Smith. The score for Jack Smith is given in B3. So I will take the B3 as the cell reference and check if the score is more than 50. That's my condition that I am giving here. If you decide to give otherwise, you can also put it as less than or equal to. Of course, the true or false will then change. Let's start and see if we give the first condition which is on the table, which says greater than 50. So if I give the score as greater than 50, then I will have to give the result, which is value or if true, as pass. Now I know that I cannot enter pass just like that, and I'll have to put it in the inverted commas. To understand why to use this in the inverted commas, it has been covered in the previous tutorials. So please go through the previous tutorials to understand why is this being used. The tutorial name is the text functions. Pass and the value if fail. So if B3 is not more than 50, if it is either 50 or less than 50, I need the result as fail. So I will enter this in the inverted commas and close the bracket, enter. Now I got the result for the first person. So it is going to check only for Jack Smith. But as we already know, if I drag this using the drag handle, it will automatically check for the rest of the cells as well. Assuming that I am not using the first condition, but in the logical test, I give the second condition. I can also do that by using the if function, and the logical test I'll give as checking for if the score is less than or equal to. We have already seen that Excel can accept, or if function can accept, less than or equal to in its function. So then I'll take B3 is less than or equal to 50. Now I need to be careful that when I am giving less than or equal to 50, what is it that I want Excel to throw? So then I will check what is it that I want Excel to throw to me. So you will see that if B3 is less than or equal to 50, I need Excel to give me the result as fail. So then in the value of true argument, this time it will come as fail. And the value as false This time it is going to be pass. So depending on what is your condition that you're giving, either of the conditions, you can accordingly pick up and put the value of true or value of false. So this is the simple if function that you want to use in Excel. That is how you use if you have two conditions that is given to you. Now let's see one more condition of if to make it very, very clear to you. Here, if you look at the data where I have the list of the employee names, their department, region, the hire rate, and the salary given to me. On the right hand side, there are three comments that has been given where I need to identify the result using these questions. The first one states commission of 10,000 to be paid to the employees in the sales department. Now, this is a very simple thing that I am looking for. In the previous example, we used the mathematical operators like greater than and greater than equal to. Here, it is even more simpler where I need to identify the employees who are in the sales department, and if they are in the sales department, the result has to show as rupees 10,000. If they are not in the sales department, the result should either be 0 or you can just leave it as blank. So we will see how it works. So again, here I can use a simple if function. So I'm going to select the if function, open the bracket. The first thing that it is asking for is a logical test. My logical test in this case is the department of each employee has to be sales. If it is not sales, then it is not going to get 10,000 rupees. So what I'll do is for the first employee, I will check the department. The first employee, Raja Nematekar's department, is shown in D2. So the logical test I'll do is D2 is equal to, so here I need to check if D2 contains the exact word sales. How will I check that? D2 is equal to, I will put it in the inverted commas, sales. Once I have done that, here my logical test gets over. After this, I put a comma. If D2 is sales, what do I need in this cell? I need 10,000 to be shown in this cell. If D2 is not sales, if this is false, then I need either to show as 0 or I want to leave the cell as blank. Now, if I want the Excel to throw the result as 0, I can just enter 0 and close the bracket, enter, and drag the formula down to get the result for rest. You will see that wherever there is a sales department, you will see the result showing as 10,000. However, if this department is not sales, any other department is showing as 0. Now trying to go back to the same formula and see if I do not want Excel to throw a 0 result, I want to leave the cell where the department is not sales as blank. In that case, I will use the double inverted comma twice without entering anything inside that, just saying that two double inverted commas and close the bracket. This will tell Excel that I do not need anything if the value is false. So as soon as I drag it down, the cells will be left blank for all the cells where the department is other than sales. This is how you use the simple if function in Excel. Moving on to see the next function on the list, that is using the if function with the AND function. Let's first understand the AND function. An AND function is used to check multiple conditions and then return a true if all the conditions are fulfilled, and it will result or give me the result as false if none of or either of the conditions are not fulfilled. For example, let's look at the AND function where I am trying to understand if the department is sales and the region is east, I need to get the result as true or as false. So we are just using the AND function for now. So in order to use the AND function, I enter the AND function, and inside the bracket you can see the first argument as logical 1 and then comma logical 2 and then comma dot dot dot. Again, we have seen in the previous examples that dot 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 means it is trying to tell you that more logical tests or more logicals can be given to that formula. Now here we have two conditions. One is where we are trying to understand if department is sales. So I'm going to first look at department is equal to sales. I put it in the inverted commas. I have to be very careful with my spelling. It may not be a right or exact same case. That is, it can be capital in the database and you can put in the logical test as all small. That is all fine, but it is very much spelling sensitive. So you have to be very careful with what spelling is given in the database. You have to use the same spelling in your function. So what is my condition? I'll write it again here. My condition is that the department has to be, so my department has to be sales and my region has to be east. Only then it should throw me a true, or else it should throw me a false result. So and does that. If the condition is both the conditions are fulfilled, it will give you true. If none of the conditions are fulfilled, it will give you false. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with an and, open the bracket, the logical one. Logical means you're looking for a condition. So department is equal to sales because that is what we are looking at. Each department is equal to sales. Logical 2 is where the region is equal to east. I close the bracket, enter. You can see that only if both the conditions are fulfilled, then it will give me a true result. Otherwise, everything will be false. In the second one, you can see that the sales and east is there. That's the reason it is giving me a true result, or everything else is returned as a false. Similar to the AND function, the OR function picks up the multiple condition or checks the multiple condition and returns true if any or all of the conditions are true, and returns false if all the conditions are false. What does that mean? Say, in the same example, not where we have used the sales and east, here the example that we are going to use is the same database, and the example is going to be where we are trying to identify if a person is either in sales or marketing. So then what I'm going to do is, if a person is in sales, I will go and check, or I can use the same example also, which I used in AND, but I'm trying to identify if the department is either sales or region is east. So what I can do is, if one of the condition is fulfilled, the OR will give me the result as true. So what I'll do is, I'll enter OR, open the bracket, I'll look the logical test, that is D2 is equal to sales, or E2 is equal to east. Close the bracket, enter, and then drag it down. If one of the condition is fulfilled, it will give me the true result. That is, if this department is sales or the region is east, one of them is true, it will give me the true, or it will give me false if both the conditions are not fulfilled. Now these two that we have understood how and OR works, this can be used with the if function to evaluate or get even more advanced results. For example, let's look at the second condition here. It says commission of 10,000 to be paid to the employees in the sales or marketing department. So here I'm trying to identify if a person is in sales or marketing department, that person gets 10,000. It's very simple. So the first thing that I'll do is the if function. In the if function, I need to identify if the person is either in sales or in marketing. I cannot just directly go to D2 and look for sales, because if I do this, it will only let me enter one condition here in the logical test. I want Excel or if function to take two conditions and then give me the result. So here I'm going to use the OR function because I'm going to check if the person is in sales, give 10,000. If the person is not in sales, but it is in marketing, still give 10,000. So either of the condition is fulfilled, then it has to give the true result. So I'm going to use OR function. I'll check in the department if the person is equal to sales, that is D2 is equal to sales, that completes my logical one. So I'm going to put a comma, and in the logical 2 again I'll take D2 because I'm going to check in the same cell if it is not sales, then is it marketing. This time I cannot type marketing like this because check the spelling of marketing in this database. It says MKTG. Again, which I had I'm repeating, which I had mentioned earlier, that this functions in Excel are all spelling sensitive. So you have to make sure that spelling is correct. If the D2 is equal to sales or D2 is equal to marketing, close the bracket. Here, why I close the bracket? Because my OR function is over. This will result either a true or false. Now, after the logical test is complete, I put a comma because My logical test is also over and I need to start with value if true. This OR function will either give me a true or a false result. If this is true, what do I need? I need Excel to throw the result as 10,000. If this is false, I need Excel to throw a 0 or a blank. This time I'm going to use a 0. You will see that if either of the conditions are fulfilled, Excel automatically picks the result as 10,000. Rest are all considered as 0. Now, moving to the third example. Here, the commission of 15,000 to be paid to the employees in the sales department working for the West region. Now, if you think logically again, Excel has or this condition mentions that I have to pay 15,000 to the employees if they are in the sales department, but not only in the sales department, they should also be in the West region according to this condition. Now, I am pretty sure that I need both the conditions to be fulfilled, that is sales department and the region is West. It is not that one of the condition is fulfilled, I can give 10,000. No, I have to look for the person working in the sales department as well as in the West region. Only if both the conditions are fulfilled can I give him 10,000. So in this case, again, I'll throw an if because there is a condition and with the condition, I'm supposed to give a result. So I'll use the if function. In the logical test here, I will be using an AND function. In the AND, I will check if the department is equal to sales. If the department is sales or, okay, again, now I have to look for department as sales and I have to also look for region, which is in E2 is equal to West. Close the bracket because my AND is over. Now here the logical test contains an AND. If both the conditions are fulfilled, AND will give me the result as true or false, which we have already seen in this column, the M column, when we did only AND in there. Once that is done, if the result is true, I want Excel to give me the result as 10,000. If this logical test result is false, then give me a blank data or a 0 or anything else that you wish to enter there. Now you can see that the first one doesn't fulfill the requirement, which is it is sales, but it is not West. So that means if both the conditions are not fulfilled and hence it is not throwing me the result accordingly. Now let's go down and see if the result is. So you can see that there are few columns which has sales and West, and so there you can find 10,000. The rest are all left as blank. There are only hardly few of them. So that's 3, I think. So this is how you can use the if with the other logical functions like and or function.
Congratulations on completing the business dashboard using Excel course. Ready to elevate your career? Join our postgraduate certificate in data science and AI and gain exclusive benefits like a complimentary Python programming bootcamp, 7+ case studies, dedicated student support, and access to our job opportunities portal. Don't miss out on this chance to transform your career. Invest in yourself today and join our program. Click on the link in the description to enroll now and take the next step in your career journey.
Now let's move on to see the nested if function. As now we already know that a simple if function has one test and two possible outcomes, one positive, another negative. Nested if function, meaning one if function inside another, allows you to test multiple criteria and increases the number of possible outcomes. As per my example sheet, I want to determine the grades of the students based on their scores. The criteria is given in the table shown here. I will start with a simple if function in the C column to identify the grades for each of the students, where I'll mention in the logical test, I will check for the score of the first student, which is Anderson, and then like I have always mentioned in the if function also, that I can start from down to up. Here I can start from top to down or down to up, whichever I think is possible. I will start with the top, where I am saying that if the B2 is greater than or equal to, the less than or equal to 49. I can also say less than 50, because what I'm trying to say is if the score is less than 50, which is from 0 to 49, that student should have the grade as F. So I'm going to say if B2 is less than 50, or I can also say, like I mentioned, less than or is equal to 49. Either of this is correct. Then value if true will be F. So I'll mention it in the inverted commas as F. Now this becomes my value if true. However, in value if false, I do not have one condition. I have to now start checking for another condition to check if the second condition is fulfilled, then I'll have to give E. If the third condition is fulfilled, I have to give D, and so on and so forth. Now, if I want to check for second condition, Excel doesn't allow me if I'm doing only simple if function. In that case, in order to add another condition to be checked by Excel, I have to add another if. If I add another if, I will have the option to add another logical test. And in this logical test, I will again check for B2 is less than, this time I have to check if it is less than 63. Now, the condition here is, if you look at this properly, it says 0 to 49. That means if the test is that if the person has scored anywhere between 0 till 49, so anybody will score either a 0 and go up to 49 will score or will get a grade as F. But if somebody has got marks as 50, from 50, then it has to check whether the score is still 63. So here I can mention either less than 64, or I can say less than or is equal to 63. So anybody who has scored up to 63, that means anybody who scored 63 also will be getting a grade as E. Moving further, again, I have third condition where I cannot put the value if false as directly D because I have another conditions to be checked. So I'll put another if here. In the logical test, I will check for the score if it is less than or equal to, this time 72. Next, value if true. If this is true, I have to put D, but if this is false, again I have to look for the fourth condition. If the score is less than or equal to 84. If this is fulfilled, then it is going to be C. But if this is not fulfilled, I have to look for one more condition, which is if the score is less than or equal to 94. If this is fulfilled, give me B. But if this is not fulfilled, then there is no other option, but I have to give the last condition. So I'm not going to use if again, because if none of these conditions are fulfilled, I will pick up the value if false as A. Close the bracket. Okay, now when I'm closing the bracket, I have to remember how many brackets did I open for if. I opened 4 brackets for if, that is 1 if, 2 if, 3 if, 4 if, and 5 ifs. I'm sorry, it was 5 if. So if I have opened 5 brackets, I have to make sure that I close 5 brackets at the end. You will see the last bracket is shown in the jet black color with a bold one. So that is how you identify the last bracket. In one formula, you can add a total of 64 ifs. That is being added from 2013 version. So if you have, 2010 version. If you have a 2010 or any version above that, you can add 64 ifs in one formula. But if you have 2007 or lower version, you can only do 7 ifs. Now once I have closed the bracket, I can press enter and drag the formula down. Here you can see that this is how your nested if function works. So what did I do? How many conditions did I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. But for the 6th condition, which is the last condition, we are going to put it in the false. So we have added only 5 conditions for the 6 that was given to us. This is how your nested if function works. So here we conclude with our tutorial. So if we have learned today how to perform an if function, the nested if function. Along with that, we have also learned how you can use the if function with other logical functions like and, or. Hope you found this useful. Keep watching for more of such advanced Excel tutorials. Thank you.